WTA is engaged with its members in dialogue about the competitive value of the teleport business because the market's changing underneath us. More and more satellite networks are taking a siloed vertical service model where they control everything. So, do you think that cybersecurity, even though it's now mandated, for instance, in the UK, is going to be a value add for our sector?
So I think two things. I think rather than value add, I would say it's actually a necessity, firstly, right? It's not a choice in our sector, because if you look at sort of how teleports are playing and where they're playing, every company needs to have cybersecurity. So if you're creating a sort of vertical full service model, you then have to figure out how you're going to secure that full service model from end to end. So does that mean you're going to need a chief information security officer, a threat and response team, or are you going to need to pay someone to do that? Then when you move to answer is you're probably going to pay someone, because you then have smaller players in sort of our sector who are coming up and cannot afford to have a team of 20, 50 people looking after security. How do you know the quality of work your partner is delivering? Does your partner understand the end-to-end industry sort of schematics, how things glue together? Because if someone just tells me, yeah, it's a failed login attempt there, it's only 3 failed logins, they've gone away, and then all of a sudden there's another failed login somewhere, only an engineer who understands that life cycle will be able to tell you, oh, wow, if you log onto that device, you can actually crash the system, and the attacker has upskilled themselves. And we often see this in our own operation, because like all businesses, we write source. So we do choose to partner, outsource certain services. And the downfall is that you just will never understand our business and criticality like our own people. And I think rather than the silo approach, cybersecurity will definitely, apart from being a necessity, be a value add, because if you can concentrate in, I'm not saying let's create a monopoly, but what I'm saying is if you have a few players that do the end-to-end service great, then they have that skills, they're sharing the threat intelligence, versus you're having 30, 40 players and each person is trying to recreate the same thing someone else is doing. And again, if you can sort of give companies that value add, then that gives them the space for creativity, product offerings, because that's what the differentiator is going to be at some stage. It's what's the service wrap? What do we get? Why you? Why not company X? And I think security definitely will be a value add, because those companies that partner with governments, invest in developing their people, invest in retaining talents, right? Because again, you don't want people to stay with you for too long, but you don't want them leaving you every year either. So it's finding that sweet spot. Companies who have alumni network of talent, those are the companies that are going to survive, because ultimately we're in a race for people, and every company that gets breached, a magic checkbook appears for 6 to 12, 18 months. And guess what? That sucks up the specialists, right? Whether that be the US, that be the UK, there's only a handful of people with real life crisis firefighting experience. So avoid the crisis, use a specialist. That's the bottom line.